Well, in any event, I think we do have quorum considering the number of members we currently have left. So why don't we just go ahead and begin the meeting? It is Tuesday, July 2nd at 1:06 p.m. Thank you everybody for joining. Onauna Thone, Chair of the Council. Dawn, I'll go to you next for introductions and then we'll go through everyone.
Dawn Higger, Island of Maui. No one in the room.
Thanks, Dawn. Mike, go ahead.
Mike Tulane, Island of Big Island, where farmers
Thank
and
you, Mike.
ranchers live.
Thanks, Mike. Tessie, go ahead.
Sikinaman at Kauai Island.
Thank you, Tessie. And Michelle?
Michelle Lefebvre, Hawaii Island.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. We'll go next to ERP staff.
Kaylee Yoshioka, ERP staff.
Okay, thanks, Kaylee.
And then
Red Alice.
they just did roll call.
Yeah, do you want to introduce yourself, Mary Alice?
Yes, Mary Alice Evans, staff to the Environmental Advisory Council.
Okay, thank you. And then members of the public, Elise Amemia, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, so I'm Deputy Attorney General Elise Amemia. I'm covering for Allison Cato.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Elise. Nice to meet you. Okay, so not too long of an agenda today, folks. Not too much to discuss. But first, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mary Alice for the director's update, OPSD director's update.
Thank you, Chair. I don't actually have a report today. None of the bills that are on the governor's intent to veto list, I think, are ones that would impact the Environmental Advisory Council's area of focus. So that in terms of the legislation, unless one of the members has a specific bill that they're following or interested in, I don't have any. We continue to work on the Maui County wildfire recovery projects. One is community planning and the other is economic recovery. And as you know, the governor's 11th emergency proclamation for wildfires actually expires today, but I do expect that there will be a 12th emergency proclamation and that Chapter 343 will be suspended to the extent necessary, which doesn't mean, for every situation in every, only for the wildfire areas and only to the extent necessary to effect recovery. So a limited suspension or exemption. Let's see, other things we are continuing to work on. Housing, but housing in the TOD areas, the transit-oriented development areas, those are urban areas. So they're, already zoned for urban uses. And so from a 343 perspective, they will tend to be areas that have already been disturbed or developed previously. So possibly environmental assessments, but not necessarily an EIS. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mary Alice.
Any questions?
No, any questions from the members on the update? No, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll go ahead and turn to review and adoption of the May meeting minutes. Has everybody been able to review the meeting minutes, or do you folks want a couple of minutes to review it? Couple minutes? Okay, let's go ahead and, it's 1:11 right now. I'll check back in at 1:13, and if we need a little bit more time, then we can take that. All right, it's 1:13 now. Do you folks need a couple more minutes? Okay, do I have a motion?
Move to approve the notes as circulated,
The May 2024 meeting minutes?
May 2024, yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Michelle and Mike. Any discussion on the meeting minutes, amendments, edits? No? Okay, if none, then all those who approve the May 2024 meeting minutes as drafted, please raise your hand and keep them up for now. All right, it is unanimous, so I won't do a roll call. So unanimous with the members present. Thank you. Okay. All right, Michelle, I'll turn it over to you now for the exemption committee update.
Great, thank you. We just met for exemption committee. Last month's notes reflected, we're still waiting to hear back from DHHL, so no change from last month on that. As an update to the State of Hawaii School Facilities Authority exemption list, no comments were received from the public during the 15-day comment period. So the committee had a motion to the full council came out of committee to approve the list for concurrence for the full council to approve the list for concurrence.
So Elise, I do have a question because as I stared at the agenda today, I just realized the list isn't actually linked, but it was linked to our last meeting agenda, which, you know, exemption committee has reviewed, and it hasn't changed since it went out for public comment. So is there an issue with us voting to concur with the list today since it's not attached?
No, so sorry, the list, I'm not familiar with your board, and so are you guys are going to be approving certain things on this list that was
It's
attached to
the prior meeting. Yeah, so in our prior meeting in May, we did review the school facilities list. The exemption
Okay.
reviewed it, and it was attached to our May 2024 agenda for the full council. At that May meeting, our process is typically once the exemption committee we have 2 sessions reviewing the list in the exemption committee. The second session, the agency folks are there with us and they make adjustments to their list, and then they provide it to us for publication in the environmental notice for a 15-day public comment period. So by the time the list goes out for publication in the 15-day comment period, the exemption committee has already made its recommendations for changes, and the list has been adjusted. If there are public comments received during the 15-day comment period, we will send those to the agency for review and further, changes to the list if necessary. And oftentimes, I mean, we very rarely get public comments during that public comment period. So at our next meeting after the public comment period ends, it comes back to first the exemption committee for a recommendation that the full council concurs with the list. It's not an approval just because we technically don't have approval rights.
Right.
It's right.
Because you're an
concurrence that
advisory council, so you don't
We're an
have,
advi-
right.
Right,
Mhm.
right. And the agencies can make exemptions regardless of whether they make a list. So that's really what happened. So now it has gone out for the 15-day public comment period. There have been no public comments.
Okay.
In an exemption committee earlier today, the exemption committee is recommending concurrence by the full council. And so that's what we have here. But yeah, I just noticed that the list isn't actually linked to this agenda. But again, it's the same list that was attached to our May agenda. And also is, I think, linked in our May meeting minutes that we just looked at.
So I think it's okay.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Okay, so Michelle, you can continue. Sorry, did you say it was you? For
So,
concurrence
yeah,
coming
we
out
have
of,
the motion out of committee that,
Mhm.
for the council to concur with the list.
great, thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions or discussion by council members on the school facilities, State of Hawaii school facilities authority list? Okay,
Don, you
so
have your
yeah.
hand raised? Oh,
Okay, that's for something else, right, Don? I can disregard the hand. Yeah, it's okay. No, just checking.
I don't
All
know why
right.
that comes.
just a high five of it.
All right, so if there's no discussion, then we do have the motion for concurrence on the floor. All those in favor of concurring with the State of Hawaii School Facilities Authority exemption list, and again, it's same list that was attached to the meeting minutes, the May meeting minutes, and the May agenda. Okay, raise your hands. Okay, Donna, okay, you are voting. All right, so it is unanimous with all of the members present. Thank you, folks.
And I will follow up with School Facilities Authority to submit a final version with today's date saying concurred with the
Mhm.
EAC. Okay, I'll
Okay.
send that email. And the final list that we are currently reviewing is the State of Hawaii Department of Education list. And we had our first meeting with DOE today. So we discussed a few points of revision. So they will be submitting a revised list next month. So we'll have that to talk about next month.
Okay, great. And then I think just the other thing that was on the agenda for exemption committee today, but we ran out of time, was updating the exemptions guidance document, which I know we've talked about with the council previously. It's not on the agenda for the full council today, but I think we'll probably be prepared to bring it before the council for the next meeting in August.
No,
So just give
the internal committee or the exemptions committee has made some suggestions, and I know ERP has also worked on the document as well. So we'll talk about that at the next committee meeting, and then bring, like you said, the full council next month.
Yeah, I'll add it to the agenda for August just so that we can have the discussion both at committee level and the full council level. Mhm. Any questions for Michelle on the exemptions committee update? And also Dawn has joined the exemptions committee, so now we have 3 people again. So thank you, Dawn. All right. Dawn, is there any update? I'll go to you next just for INO. I know you folks didn't meet today, but I don't know if there's any updates on that.
No, I think there are no updates until we know what's happening with more members. It's kind
Yeah.
of hard to plan something without knowing what the will of the committee is. The EAC committee, the full
Mhm.
committee. So it'd be nice to know, I think just at some point, if we're gonna have more members. Yeah, and then we can plan.
Okay, no, I think that's helpful. And yeah, Mary Alice, now that you're back, if you have some time, I mean, love to get on a call with you about that, or if folks are comfortable chatting about it now, just because, yeah, membership is dwindling, and then there's a whole handful of us who can't. I mean, I'm technically a holdover now as of June or July 1. Same for Mike, Steph, and I think, yeah, Dawn has been a holdover for quite a while. But there's a few of us who hit 8 years in November, so we won't be able to hold over at all after this year. So, I've again been reaching out to boards and commissions pretty regularly without response. I don't know if Mary Alice, you've heard anything on whether or not they'll appoint members. And I know we have at least 2, possibly 3 applications in the pipeline. And those folks, boards and commissions haven't reached out to them at all. Yeah. So Mary Alice, have you heard anything from Gov at all about if they're going to do appointments for the council?
I have not heard anything
Okay.
from boards and commissions. It has been on my to-do list to try to see if we could get somebody in Gov's office besides the boards and commission staff to raise that up to a higher level. But I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
No, thank you. Yeah, and I'll reach out through folks as well and continue to reach out to boards and commissions. And at least, I've talked to a couple of the members offline about this, and even in terms of like our meeting today is very short. I think we're just trying to get exemptions less come through as agencies are coming to keep that going. But I am also hesitant to start any substantive work if we, have very little membership. And I don't want to set up, the folks who are staying on the council with making big commitments to do stuff again, if they're not going to appoint additional members, in the next couple of months. So yeah, I appreciate anything that you can do on your end. And if you have time, please let me know. I'm happy to jump on a call with you, Mary Alice, offline to see what we can do for this. And I'll keep trying to reach out to the folks that I have been reaching out to get folks appointed. But yeah, I don't know. Anybody else questions, comments on that?
Tessie, when is your last meeting? And Mike?
I'm gonna pull up
Me?
the list of.
I'm a holdover.
You're a holdover.
Yeah, I think. Okay, hold on. Let me bring up the terms. I know, and
So,
I sent that list to boards and commissions as well. Yeah. So I know there are other boards and commissions that they're still appointing for. So I think so. Let's see.
Yeah, I tried to hustle like 3 other people and they all turned me down.
Yeah. So I think I want to say, I know Tessie, Mike, me, Robin, Mary, Makaala, stuff. We are all appointed in 2016. And I think we're all November. So technically November 4th is the date that we can hold over until, and then that's it. So then that just leaves, Dawn, Rachel, and Michelle that can serve longer. And so that's only 3 people, those. I mean, we can have up to 15, yeah.
With 3 members though, after November, can council meet with 3?
You can, yeah, because we changed the statute. It's just whatever the remaining appointed members are. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's depending, I guess, on what the role of the council is going to be going forward. 3 people, there's a limit to the amount of work that 3 people can do, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that it might just be a very different council. I don't know if it's essentially just an exemptions committee at that point. But yeah. So I think we'll have to have those future discussions as well. But okay, so I'll continue to reach out to folks. Our next meeting otherwise is tentatively scheduled for August 6th, and I think we'll for sure have an exemptions committee meeting on that day. And we'll try to plan to have, at least a short full council meeting on August 6th as well. If folks are okay. Yeah. All right. Any other business or announcements? No. Okay. Well, I do appreciate everybody's time and participation, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions. I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. It's 1:27 p.m. Thank you all so much. Thank you, ERP staff, and
you.
Mary Alice and Elise.
See you, ladies.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye, Mike.